I'm telling you what I think I see coming, and I may be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. But you'll recall when the Biden administration rolled out this $6 trillion plan to build America back better that included, really seriously tackling climate change, upgrading our infrastructure, getting prescription drug prices under control, expanding Medicare to include vision and dental and hearing, rescuing students who are, caught in student debt traps. They rolled out all this cool stuff. And immediately, a couple of Republicans, and it turns out I believe there were 7 or 8 of them in the Senate. Actually, maybe it was more than that. But a couple of Republicans and a handful of Democrats, principally the so-called Corporate Problem Solvers Caucus. This is a group of Democrats and Republicans who solve problems for big corporations and rich people in Congress. They're pretty upfront about it. This is what they call themselves. Yes, we're the Problem Solvers Caucus. Decided to solve the problem of President Biden wanting to help people out and reduce the profits of big pharma and reduce the profits of the health insurance industry by making Medicare competitive with Medicare Advantage. And so they said, listen, let us just split off a little bit of this. Just the stuff that is the, quote, real infrastructure or hard infrastructure. And we'll take care of that. And we'll get some Republicans to work with us, and we'll pass this on a bipartisan basis, and everything will be good. But don't worry, we promise you that we will also vote on the larger piece, even though the Republicans won't have anything to do with it. Well, the promise turned out to have been a lie, Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. And we still don't have Build Back Better. We'll see if they eventually end up holding their end of the deal. But I'm skeptical. But now my concern is that we're about to see the exact same okey doke with voting rights. We've got 3 good, strong pieces of voting rights legislation. There's the For the People Act, also known as H.R. 1, which is the strongest of the 3. It's expansive. It's hated by Republicans and right-wing billionaires because it limits dark money. It demands transparency. It reduces the power of billionaires to control elections, in addition to making it harder for states to gerrymander and to mess with your vote and all that kind of stuff. So that's H.R. 1, or the For the People Act. Then there's the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, which undoes the damage that the Supreme Court did to the original 1965 Voting Rights Act in the case where, the Supreme Court just basically came in and said, okay, we're going to gut the Voting Rights Act. And so, the John Lewis Act fixes that. And then there's this third one that really was shepherded through Congress. It's a pretty decent piece of legislation by Amy Klobuchar, who is the lead on this bill. But Joe Manchin signed on to it, and it's called the Freedom to Vote Act, and it takes the most urgent stuff out of the H.R. 1, the For the People Act, and makes it its own standalone law. But then there's this fourth thing. And it's just starting to pop up on the horizon. And that is, I began this whole rant by pointing out that back 2 years ago, I told you that, or about 3 months short of 2 years ago, I told you that I was hearing from Republicans in Washington, D.C., actually, and I believed that Donald Trump was going to try to pull off the 1876 stunt, have the guy who lost the election become president. And that he was going to do it the same way. He was going to do it using this law called, well, at the time, they just used I believe it's the 12th Amendment. But it was, shall we say, strengthened in 1787 by the Electoral Count Act. And the Electoral Count Act just makes it very, very clear that basically the vice president can, or relatively clear, that the vice president can blow up the election and the House of Representatives hand the presidency to whoever they damn well please. And so now you've got Manchin and Sinema and a bunch of Republicans saying, you know, that Electoral Count Act, let's fix that. And what I'm seeing coming is that they will do that on a bipartisan basis, and then they'll declare mission accomplished and say, you know, we fixed things. We don't need to change the filibuster for voting rights. And I am very concerned about this. You know, it doesn't take a weatherman to know which way the wind blows, as Bob Dylan once said, and it's true. And so I'm suggesting that we all be calling our members of Congress at 202-224-3121 and letting them know that, yeah, the Electoral Count Act should be fixed, but it should be fixed along with, at the very least, passing the Freedom to Vote Act and the John Lewis Act.